This is Frameform.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Frameform. For those of you new to the show, we are a podcast focused on everything and anything at the intersection of dance and film. We're excited to partner with the legendary Amsterdam-based dance film festival Cinedans on several episodes this season to commemorate the 20th edition of their annual event. Today, we are sharing an interview with Tanin Torabi. If you've attended any dance film event in the last 4 to 5 years, you've likely seen the hypnotic film The Dérive, which features Tanin moving through a bazaar in Tehran, the capital city of Iran, where dance has been banned since the country's revolution in the late 1970s. Tanin has since created 2 other films set in Tehran, In Plain Sight in 2021 and Until, the latter of which was created in the midst of the women life freedom protests in response to the murder of Mahsa Amini by Iran's morality police. All 3 films have screened at Cinedans over the years, and only a few hours after this conversation took place, Until was awarded the Jury Award for Best Dance Short of Cinedans 2024. As you'll hear in this interview, Tanin approaches her work with an extreme depth of thought and research, and relays her experiences and complex situation with generosity and humor. Tanin, it is so great to see you, and so great to actually see you in person this time.
Thank you. For me as well. Pleasure.
Yeah, I feel that, so many times we do these interviews, specifically on Frameform, when we're by Zoom, so it's very rare that we actually get to be in person, and especially coming from the different parts of the world that we're from, that's even rarer. So
very much, yeah.
Yeah. First of all, I actually kind of want to start with what you've been doing recently. What has the last year been like for you?
So I have actually had a lot of residencies. I was in L'Agora in Montpellier Dance in Montpellier. I was in Dance Limerick residency in Ireland. Now I am an artist in residence in Cité Internationale des Arts. And I've been there for the past 5 months, and I will be there for a good few months as well. So yeah, I'm basically at the moment researching my own work. I'm just going back to the last 3 dance films that I have created, and I try to study them. I try to write about them, both from sociology and anthropology lens, and as an artist, just kind of diving through the aesthetic of my own work and what has been really interesting to me so far, and what do I find myself doing. So this is the I think at the end of the day, that is how you can't really push yourself to do something new, but you are who you are, and it's just useful to see what you have been doing.
Are there any particular frames that you're working with, or any type of particular angle that you're approaching your work with?
I'm finding the particular approach at the moment. I'm trying to find. I have tested a few things. I have tested and worked with improving with my own films, and I have asked people who were dancing in the films to come over in residencies, and we have shared ideas and shared movement with each other. We have shared moving images like videos with each other. So I'm just testing out different things and different methods. I am writing a lot. I read a lot about Iran's art history and dance history. So yeah, it's been quite of a research year for me so far.
Right, and just especially taking a look at those 3 films, which not only cover such important points of your life, but really show 3 momentous moments really in recent history.
Exactly, that's the way I like to see it, because I also feel like, because the 3 of them, there are single shot films, and I feel it's a very honest picture of that moment of time in that particular year that this has been shot. Say in 2017, life was like that. Like this is the 7 minutes of that, and then in 2021, that's another thing. I didn't intend to create a trilogy like this. It just happened to be. But I'm so happy to see the development of the work myself, and development of the society as well, the development of women as well, like how they have been empowered more, and they have been more courageous and more determined to move and to make a change.
I'm going to be cheesy here and call it the TTT, the Tanin Torabi triptych.
Okay. I like that. Okay.
Getting some branding in there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's actually step back a really long way in the timeline and talk about how you got into the world of dance film, because at least in my experience, no one really intends to start out making dance films, and it kind of happens accidentally. So I'm very interested to know what your journey was and how you found yourself to this medium.
It's a long story because of the specific situation I was in, but I'll try to make it short. But like my mom was a dance enthusiastic before the revolution of Iran. And she was trained with some of the masters of the time in Iran, and then the revolution happened, so they had to cancel everything, and they fled the country, or they had to hide in their homes. So anyway, I mean, I had this heritage of my mom having learned all these like techniques that they were available at the time in Iran. So growing up, I was in her classes, like underground classes at homes and here and there. At some point, I had traveled a lot to different places to learn ballet, and because I thought that like it's after what I had learned from my mom, that would be like proper ballet class that would help me just kind of grow. I did that, but when I came back to Iran, I felt like it doesn't really mean anything to me. I wasn't really satisfied with what I was doing. At the time, I was studying sociology, so all these questions were really present for me. What am I doing with my body? What does it mean? But I continued that, and I was teaching because people wanted me, because there were so many people in Iran, like at the time, that they were looking for a ballet teacher. And because I was trained, I mean, not that trained, but I mean, I knew something. So they really wanted to learn from me. And that was the moment that I was like, okay, I don't know what this means to me, but if you are interested in that and I have that, I'm happy to share it with you, you know, like I find joy in sharing. Anyway, at some point I was about 21 when I thought, okay, I want to, what is it, Tanin? Are you going to be teaching for the rest of your life? And I received so many students from all over the country. I had a studio in our house. It was one of our rooms that I turned it to a studio. My mom would open the door for the students to come, and like I realized that one time that I'm actually welcoming 60 people per week to our house, and they are coming from here and there, and they find not only dance but also like a safe space to share and to be, which was really valuable. But then I was like, okay, what about the artistic expression? Like, do you want to work in art, or do you want to teach for the rest of your life? And I thought, no, I don't want this to be like this. But then there was no venues that we could perform or share our work, or traveling was hard because of the costs and visas and everything. Also, I didn't know what is interesting. I mean, like I was disconnected from the world. But at that time I thought, okay, I cannot travel, but a film could. So maybe I create something with that. I had never touched a camera before. So, and I was like, okay, what do? I just thought I had this idea that I need a lake, and I would like to ask somebody to dance on the shore, one person on a boat, and one person in the water swimming. And my mom was like, come on, like we are, basically we are living in the middle of a desert, So first of all, finding a lake isn't that easy.
How much water do you need?
Exactly. Like my mom told me, like, like we have Nader, a friend of ours, he has a, yard and there's a pool in there, so maybe you go and do your thing there. And I was like, no, Mom, I want a lake. And she was like, okay, let's see what we can do with this kiddo. And then yeah, I teamed up like people to go, and I bought a boat. I mean, I remember I paid all the money I had to just buy that one to be able to do what I was planning to. Yeah, I took this team and we found a place. It was a 3-hour drive to get there, and it was like all over the lake was all these fences and all these signs that no swimming, no sailing, no fishing. They didn't say no dancing, but I thought it's obvious that someone shouldn't be dancing here as well. But then
it's not written down.
Yeah, right. And basically, like the process was that I was like, okay, you friend, you have a camera, you know how to edit, so come with me. Let's make this possible. So we did that, and we edited this, and I wasn't really, because I wasn't in editing at the time, I wasn't involved in that part, but it came out okay. By chance, I saw an open call on Facebook, which was from the dear friends of mine festival, like the Outlet Dance Film Festival in New Jersey.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I knew Donia from, I don't know, another online course I took. And she had this festival, and I was like, I texted her, like, what is it? What are you doing? And she said, okay, listen, if you have something that is between camera and movement and dance, maybe you can send to us. And I thought, yeah, maybe I actually have one that I can send it to you. Not to mention that, I should mention that, like, I did take a online course about creating site-specific dance and performance online in Coursera offered by Stefan Koplowitz. So I was actually basically Googling like online dance courses because I didn't know like how to learn more. And this Coursera thing came up, and I just took the course twice. Donia said me that, yeah, you can send this to me, and I sent the link to her. And at the time, there is a $25 screening fee. I can't really send it to you. Like, what can I do here? And she was so kind, and she said, don't worry about this. I'll take your submission. And it was accepted. So my first dance film is called Immensity. That's pretty much how I found that. It was very much, I think I discovered it because I had no idea that this was existing in a broader world. But then in a way, it was just so necessary for me. I mean, later, I fell in love with dance films, like from how artists are creating this relationship between the camera and movement. I think it's just the most beautiful thing, the purpose of life. But yes. Well, I mean, really, like when I see something that I think is just it's a good film, I feel like, okay, this has been the purpose of life in general, to come and create something like that.
Yeah, things just fit together.
Exactly, like it's just like being in harmony and understanding movement and the medium.
Eventually, you found your way to Limerick for further studying, and found your way really to the realm of Mary White-Curley and Jürgen Simpson, who are also the co-founders and curators of Light Moves. I'm very interested, what drew you to that specific part of the world, and what was really piquing your interest there?
After I made my first film, Immensity, I made 2 other films because I thought it was my thing. Like one is Beyond the Frames and the other is Invisible Point. Both of them received so many awards, especially Invisible Point. I was working in the field and I already had dance film experience. At some point I realized that I really want to learn more and I want to practice more. So I started Googling again, like my good old friend, masters in contemporary dance, where can I find them? And so a few programs came up, and many in the UK. And this one in Ireland, I just contacted them, and we went on an interview, and we talked about it. I did receive a few offer letters even from the UK university, but then I thought, I was talking to Mary Noonan, and she was the course director of the time, and I felt very much related to her and her work. I felt welcome in Ireland more than other places, I think. But also because in the course in MA Contemporary Dance Performance, they were offering that screen dance as well. The Dérive is my final project for our master's degree, who was under supervision of Mary Wycherley as well. So
let's dive into the Dérive, which I don't know how much more I can say that hasn't already been said already. And I was privileged enough to actually be at the premiere of the film at Light Moves, and remember being completely struck, and also managed to see the film screen in theaters almost everywhere after that, going from Ireland to Amsterdam again, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., touching so many people, but not in a flashy way. I remember Mary saying, and I completely agree, that for a student film, it's sophisticated. For a professional film, it's sophisticated because it's not only committing to its style and its approach, but also committing to that within the context of the place that you're in. What was your entry point into creating this film? And I suppose, what was the movement language or the score that you were developing as you were developing the film?
The starting point, the very starting point was that I wanted to make a film in the city. And because my previous works were actually in nature or abandoned places, I had a feeling that I can actually now touch the city, especially because at the end of Invisible Point, we see a small part of the city. Then I was researching Tehran, and I went to different places, and I wanted to see where. I think it started with the location first. So I went to a few places, then I felt no, maybe Tadrish, Bazaar, this is where I want to work. And so we spent about a month, Milad, the cinematographer I was working with, who is my husband now, and myself, we were in the market for about a month, seeing, sensing, feeling, questioning, writing our feelings, our relationship to the place and what it means to us, and also mapping the market to find the path that we wanted to go through. And I felt like I'm absorbing people's movements, but it's I'm questioning, what if we go a little bit more? I definitely didn't want to be considered as a cool girl who is dancing in Tehran, of course I didn't want to be or represent that thing that to show that, I'm doing something really cool or I'm doing something really dangerous. At the end of the day I was, but that wasn't the intention. So I was okay, I want to kind of push a bit, one step further, this ordinary movements that we are seeing here in this particular place. I told Mila to look for movement. We did have this big discussion about what the camera is, because I didn't come from film, a camera is still a question to me. What is a camera? And I see it more of as an object than something that is, I don't know how it is even perceived in cinema, but it's an object that is singing, to me as a dancer. It is seeing me, but what is this object? So we did have this discussion with Milad that how do we want to kind of clarify this relationship? And I told him, okay, maybe this camera is a curious eye. So let's go with this. And you look forward to seeing movements, and whatever that's kind of is striking to you, you just go with this. Whether it's me or it's something, maybe there is something more interesting in the Bazaar that you want to follow. So it was very much like his job to find movement. And I think with equipments that we had at the time and with what was possible, he did a really great job.
Oh my goodness.
Just finding those movements and things. So we did have a structure. Like there were some points that we know this is gonna happen here. Like this will be the running part, that will be the turning part. But then in between, everything was pretty much improvised, and I would get movements from the everyday movement of the passersby, and I would just kind of go a little more on that.
Yeah. Because what strikes me about your performance in that is just how, like, the ease of which you move through this crowd, and almost like there's an ease, but there's also like this hyper awareness of the crowd around you, because obviously you don't necessarily want to draw attention to what you're doing, but there's like really a sense, almost like you're taking care of every single person that you're seeing in this space.
And said, thank you.
Yeah, and by proxy, the camera is as well. And also, that opening shot of those dogs, I'm just like, every time I see those, I'm just like, here we go. Here we're going again.
Yeah, I've seen it many times. So the funny thing is that like we didn't want to shoot the whole thing many times because it would attract attention of the people. But then we did only 2.5 takes, because in the middle of the third one, Milad just called me and he said like, I wasn't recording, so we're just going back. But that was mainly because the first beginning part was so hard for him to take. Like he took about 30 or more takes for the first 30 seconds of the film. So he gets everything so perfectly.
Each of these films feel like 3 very unique portraits of Tehran. And I remember reading an interview with you, I think it was with Pool, about envisioning Tehran as a character in your films. And you really do see that in plain sight, where it almost feels like Tehran is in conversation with you and the dancers as well. And can you describe how you developed the visual style for that? Because it's very different from the Dérive. It really uses depth in interesting ways, and the camera really takes in the space in a completely different way as well.
Yeah, well, what was really interesting to me, again, was the place. So I started with the place. This is actually a boulevard, we call it in Iran. As you can see, there are so many layers of movement in that place. So you would see all these cars and bicycles and pedestrians in different lines. So it's just a lot of movement happening. For me, that was striking, but also because this was a dear place to many of us. It is Keshavarz Boulevard in Tehran, which many of the Tehraners have really beautiful memories in that. So I was very much drawn to that place. So we started experimenting a lot. I mean, honestly, I didn't really want to make a single shot film again. I was like, no, I should prove to the world that I'm not the only, I don't only make this kind of films, which I actually did prove to the world that I do that. But I actually was looking for like some cuts and things. I had a very avant-garde idea like about that. We were researching another film that I am going to make one day, and like for 1 month we were researching on that way of relationship with the camera that the performers have. We shot it, we made it, and I edited it, but then I saw it and it felt like it's not working at all. I was so disappointed, but I had to take this in, and I just accept that this is not successful. And it was primarily because the city itself had something to say, and I was stubbornly ignoring that. I was ignoring what city had to say to me, and I wanted to make these very complicated movements of the camera and editing to just, it was a very selfish way of approaching that at the time. So I saw the film that I had edited and I was like, no, it's not working. So then it did come with a lot of despair for myself and also for the performers, because then whatever has been done was just like not useful anymore. But I took 1 month to reflect on that. And then I thought, no, we actually have a lot of information already. We know the space. We know ups and downs. We know very much how people move in that. There are so many details that we know, but specifically we know like this place is actually a very monitored place. I never thought of that. I mean, I thought it's just a nice place for memories that we have. But then it came out that no, it's actually because there are some governmental buildings in that space. There were so many plainclothes people there, like plainclothes police, and so we didn't know this before. But they also did come to us, and they were interrogating what you are doing, and they did say that you can't really work here. But I was like, I had a fake permission indeed. And I just told them, look, I have this permission and I will do whatever I can. And that's it. And they just left. They didn't want to cause trouble at the time. But interestingly enough, after that, they never came back, which was good, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, but then of course many things change in our approach and in our movement. So we had to, like, we had 2 days pause, and then we started again. I'm still talking about the film that never happened, you know.
Right? Yeah.
This was during that process. So anyway, we knew the space, you know, and they knew us too. So the place also knew us in a way. So I didn't want to leave it so easily. Like, I just wanted to go deeper in that. And then we went back to the materials we had, and I saw, also by looking at the footage that I had, I was like, look, city is saying something that I am ignoring. I don't want to ruin it with cuts. So let's go for another single take thing and let's design it.
I mean, it feels, in comparison to the Dérive, like the Dérive is very much, creating, a space for yourself to move through, and in plain sight feels like almost like you're holding space for the city or holding space for this environment, which does have the feeling of a sanctuary. Like, there is, so much greenery around it, and like all these canopies, but at the same time, all the performers are completely exposed, and movement that you're doing is really visible. The film also shows you and your collaborators almost holding space for each other. And can you describe what that call and response process was, and how the motifs that get repeated emerged as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a desire in me for a collective thing when I was doing in plain sight. So for the Dérive, I was pretty much alone, and I was moving that. But in the second one, I think there was this feeling of, okay, I need company, I need to connect. And I think it's something that the society in general was also ready for, at the time. And this manifested in my work, like unconsciously in a way as well. So I did ask their company and their help, and we worked a lot together. We spent a lot of time together to just understand, to improvise, and to see what movement qualities we share, and how we can, again, we started from the ordinary movement, the everyday movement, and we tried to work on them and kind of see, like, what if we go one step further. I mean, the question of like dance being prohibited in Iran is just so, nonsense. Like, what does that mean even?
Right.
Like, and this has been my question. What does it mean that dance is prohibited? And what is dance then? Like, since like about 100 years ago, when like pioneers of contemporary dance, postmodern dance, wanted to redefine dancing, they asked the same questions, like what is dance, and what
about catch and release
exactly
is immoral? What about finding release and movement counts as immoral?
Exactly. So that's the way, the very thing I also asked, but in my own context of like, because then it is immoral. They were questioning this, what what is dance in general. I am questioning what is immoral exactly. I have been playing with this gray area of not knowing what is the limit of that. And I'm just kind of teasing this notion of dance being prohibited, a bit saying that, okay, am I dancing now? What about now?
Yeah.
What about now? Is it finally dancing or not?
Yeah. What am I doing differently than this other person going about their day is?
Exactly.
We're doing the same movement, essentially. I'm just doing it in a different combination.
Exactly.
It's always worth bringing back that even though like you're not necessarily coming on making a film saying I am making a political statement right now and this is it, there's still risk in what you are doing. Even if it's not necessarily perceived as immoral, there are ways that can be twisted as such. Okay. And that really comes to the fore in Until, which is your latest film and, far and away the most riskiest film you've made so far. It's hyper choreographed in a way. I think out of the work that I've seen, it is probably the most mapped out, planned out, but it's also a situation where the very act of planning and congregating was under so much suspicion. Can you describe how you developed this map with your dancers and how the movement language of the film emerged as well?
First of all, Until was a response to what was happening in Iran at the time. So if I was an artist who would work with bodies in urban spaces, I could not respond to what was going on at the time in Iran with the tragic murder of Mahsa Amini by the regime, and then so many other lives that were taken, and the violence and the waves of arrests that were happening at the time. This was something that was very much related to me and my work as well. There was something that was really interesting for me about the movement of the woman life freedom movement, as a general term. It started in many cities. Like everybody supported it. And for example, in a city, something happens, a gesture, like a movement, a physical movement is happening. And for example, a wrist or a turn or, like all these gestures that are becoming some sort of a symbol of the movement in a way. And this would happen in one city. We see a video of that. And that video is going viral, and we see it in other places as well. So other people from other cities would reproduce the same movement, a gesture movement in the streets or when they are protesting. So this feeling of like, if I'm just doing my fist like this, and this movement here for example, in Tabriz is happening, and then after seeing the video, people of Tehran would do that to support of those people of Tabriz. So this is really powerful to me. I think this was really something I really wanted to touch on. And the whole idea of just passing out the camera started from here, because I was like, okay, everybody is a part of a collective movement, and they are passing out their movements to each other. And okay, you are done here, you can't go on, I will go on, I will do this. And this is very powerful, I think. So I try to bring that notion to the style of filming that I am working on. So I just use that. And for continuing that, I thought I invited a few dancers that I knew that they were very much interested in what was going on. They really cared about the movement. And I asked them, okay, let's gather together and see what we can do about it. I knew I was gonna make a film about it, and they weren't really they didn't have much experience in framing and camera movement. So I had we had some training sessions to understand what is a frame, and how do we enter and go out and all these things. But also, I as an artistic way, I invited them to to share a few words about their experience in the streets during that time. And I asked them, okay, what physical actions have you been involved during this time? A lot of hugging, running, shouting, helping each other, those who have fell down and they need help to just carry on, and anger, and all these words were coming up, and I wrote them, and I just the method would be that, like, I would make them like, okay, use the three of you, you have your own phone, and you would create something with the idea of hugging, and you two have this your own phone, and you would create something with the idea of, I don't know, running or whatever. Let's see what interesting segments we can get from that. And I would supervise them, and I would just give them ideas to just make this more interesting, or a bit more complicated in a way. And so this was how the camera movements, pretty complicated movements were done. But then we went to the site, that the place that we wanted to work on, and it was very central. It was very hard because there were so many police. I mean, you can't really believe what I mean by the police is there, like around the same crossroad that we were working in. We couldn't show them in the video, because if we did, it would have been even worse. But they were there, like while Ava and myself were just crossing the beginning of the film, there were so many like big black vans of like riot police. They were around, and they are pretty sensitive to cameras, because like they know the power of the camera, you know. Like, we went and we scouted the place, and we just decided, where does each segment go, and we decided to put all these things together and find who would do what. For doing this, I had a different strategy this time, and the strategy was doing so many times that it becomes something natural for the passers-by and the people who are around us, and the local people and shops and everything. Because we are not dancing, we are basically running, you know. That should be fine. as long as you have your hair covered and everything. Very first time that we went to this place, and we wanted to try out if anything is gonna work here or not. We didn't have even our camera, and the camera as in the phone. I asked people to just run to understand them, you know, like the time of that. Like less than 3 minutes, really. Like, we just run for like 10-15 meters, and then less than 3 minutes, like a big van and 10 motorcycles of this riot polices, they came after us. It was myself and two other people who were stuck in an alley, and the police came out, and they were like, what are you doing here, and open your bags. And we were like, okay, we are not doing anything, like, you're just running. And my friend Hamed just showed his directing license, and he said, I'm a director, and like, we're not doing anything. I think this police was mostly involved and concerned about riots. You know, they wouldn't care about the artistic things that might happen.
Right. Yeah.
Again, very much. They were concerned about if we have like color sprays to just do the graffitis, or are we going to if it is vandalism, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And we were not doing that. So they left. And I took the opportunity to let all the neighborhood know. I literally went to the shops, and I would say, look, you see, we are going to be here for a few days in this neighborhood, and you just saw that the police came and they let us go. You don't need to report this anymore. You don't need to cause them problem. We are fine, and as you can see, we are just practicing something. So this should be fine, as you see. and this was the time that it actually worked. And for rehearsals that we were doing, we always would wear hats, because again, we didn't want to attract attention. But one day we did that without our hats on. So that was the time, this different strategy was to just actually do it a lot so people wouldn't mind it anymore. So when the time comes, it's just fine. I think.
Right.
Because in this particular film, I didn't really care about the reaction of the people, and that's why I wasn't worried about that. In fact, once this happened, which was interesting, like during the film, you would see a woman after we do a duet of dance. The phone is in my hand, and I'm following the people who are going to the alley to do the boom 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 thing, and this woman is just seeing me, and she's like, khanum khanum, she's calling me, madam.
Yeah.
And then she's like, she just told that there is a motorcycle here waiting for you, like she was trying to warn us, like, because she would see that like we are doing something that is not like proper. But then the motorcycle was actually our motorcycle, that we would just go on it and would just go it was one of our team. But because she would see that he's waiting for us, she was conscious that if they are spying on us, they would cause problem for us. So yeah, that was the only response actually we got at that time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it really does have the read of even just hearing through the process, just the read of a true like community-centered film and a communal like support kind of film, as far as, just everybody taking care of each other. Your work has screened all around the world, and audiences have been inspired from all around the world. They've played to full houses, and you've received so many laurels and accolades for your work. But at the same time, you're based in a country where you can't, I guess, safely reap the benefits of those accolades. And I just want to know for you how you manage, like how you've been able to manage that for so long, and how you've continued to find that, that impetus to continue making work, and really that, encouragement and motivation.
Of course, dance films are not very much popular in Iran, or for the regime or their spies or whatever. So I pretty much feel safe when I am screening something in dance film festivals, who are my friends now. Like I have been in contact with them for about 10 years. So I know many of the festival directors, and we have become friends. So they know the sensitivities of my work, and they are very much cautious about what how to put this out in the world. But also there is another aspect to that, I believe, which is, from the beginning of my work, I was never involved in anything that was related to the government. I mean, I was not interested in that. They weren't interested in me. I wasn't interested in them, and I didn't want to contribute anything to what they have to, say in a governmental and state way. That's how I wasn't also known to them. Iranian artists who start by going through the already existing structures in Iran, they will make themselves known to the government in a way. So when they go abroad and they do something, they appear in an event without hijab, so they need to come back and respond why they answer questions, like they will be interrogated, they will be banned from working. I mean, I'm not working in Iran, but like I have nothing to lose. I have basically nothing to lose, and they can't really take anything from me except for my life, and probably they will at some point. I don't know, like I have always had the risk of that very much present in my life. I stay under the radar to avoid any unnecessary conflicts, but still would question, but still would teach and share my work and talk about it in a more discreet way.
Well, now you find yourself at a pretty momentous stage of your life in many, many, many ways. And going back to the beginning of our conversation, a lot of your work is very much intensive practice-based research, which in and of itself is stretching the idea of like what is a screen dance artist, not just someone who's producing films, but also someone who's taking time to interrogate their own work and their own practice, which for someone at your stage in your career, I think is quite rare. Do you see your practice continuing along these lines of self-research and self-interrogation, or do you see it evolving into something else entirely?
Very beautiful question. I think I need to do something with these 3 films. I didn't intend to do before, but again, I always look back and see what I have been doing, because I can't really force anything. What has been appearing and existing in my work already. And I see a part of my physically resistance, has been that I travel with my films and I talk about them. And this has, I give context about them. So this has been my practice in the last 10 years. And I think I should embrace it in a way. And I should see what it is all about. And at the moment, I'm saying this with the hope that I will one day do this, although it seems it's not something that I'm used to, especially in Europe, working with all these funding things and everything. I do it always alone back in Iran with my, with my own team. And so I need to figure this out, what it's like. But I'm thinking of creating I can say a live documentary of an evening of showing the 3 films, but also like weaving through performance and text and maybe more images, and to give more context about creative context about the works themselves. So it wouldn't be, I don't know, merely just giving information, but giving insight and embodied complements of that maybe. And I would like to invite dancers that were actually in the films to come on stage with me. But this is a project that I need to figure this out. But I love screen dance. There are other projects that are coming up on my mind, especially with the question of what a camera is. And I'm really looking for an opportunity to be able to work on that. I think that's going to be like a turning point. I will do it one day. We'll see. Like the failed project in Iran will come to life one day. So.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see how that emerges, because I have a feeling it will emerge at some point in some form. But I'm very much looking forward to that, and always looking forward to seeing what you do next. And so I guess the 4 T's, the Tanin Torabi Tehran triptych.
Oh, okay. Okay, wonderful.
I'll just keep adding T's. Tanin, thank you so much for your time and your work.
Claire. And an honor.
To the future.
To the future. Thank you.
This is Frameform, hosted by Hannah Weber, Jen Ray, and Claire Schweitzer. Edited by the Frameform team, and music by Mason Carlton. Thanks for listening.